the integration of trans people into sports. I don't think it's appropriate. I probably stand in opposition to a lot of the very far left.
Okay.
What?
The law. Okay. So let me just go on record. I can give you the rest. We could talk hours.
Sure. What's the California law for the 8-year-old? Go ahead. What was it?
Yes. You cannot, a school cannot tell a parent, doesn't have to, is not allowed to tell a parent if a child identifies as the other sex in a California school.
That would probably be something I'd be opposed to as a parent. I think I would want to know that if my kid was identifying as a different gender in class.
Correct. So you see, if it weren't for Trump, you would have to spend the time with me or anyone else defending the left and their scummy little laws like that ruin lives of kids and have girls get their breasts cut off at 18 or even younger. It's like nothing matters. All that matters is January 6th. Every time I raise an issue, we go back to January 6th.
Because he tried to rebel. It was a rebellion against the peaceful transfer of power.
He told people to go peacefully to the halls of Congress.
He told Mike Pence, why were they going there? What were they going there for?
To protest the results of the election.
Exactly.
They thought it was cheating. You're right.
Exactly. It was an insurrection. They thought, no, you're not allowed to protest with violence.
You're not allowed to overthrow, but you were allowed to protest.
When they were going there to support Mike Pence, what did they want Mike Pence to do?
Yes, they wanted Mike Pence not to accept certain electors from certain states.
Exactly.
Yes, that's right.
Correct.
Okay, but okay.
Which was against the ECA, right? That was illegal under the Electoral Count Act, right?
But I don't agree with that, and that's
fine. I don't agree with insurrectionists either, but you understand the ridiculousness of wanting to have a man who has now usurped criminal immunity as the president. So a lot of the illegal actions that he took. Right. Remember, Roberts, in his opinion, said explicitly that when Donald Trump told his acting and his deputy attorney general, can you guys write fake notes to the state legislatures to say that we found evidence of voter fraud that wasn't there? We can't.
Here we go again. I mean, Destiny, he's just, everything now is January 6th, right? This is the highest level of Trump derangement syndrome, in my personal opinion. You mention anything remotely right-leaning, and boom, January 6th, insurrection. This guy is just a broken record. And Dennis is about to really drop the needle on him right now. Just watch.
Okay.
I didn't say it doesn't matter, but some things matter more than other things.
Right. In the day, you're right. It matters
less.
I am. What happened on January 6th. January 6th is wildly overblown. If it wasn't an insurrection, not a single person has been arrested or indicted on insurrection. Donald Trump was not accused of fomenting insurrection. The term is a left-wing lie about what happened on January 6th. I don't like January 6th. I condemned it when it happened. It was not an insurrection. That the language that the left uses, fascist, Nazi, insurrection, misinformation, disinformation, this is the language of division that you denied the left engages in.
First of all, I've never denied that the left engages in divisiveness. Of course they do. I'm just saying that Joe Biden himself doesn't, which is evident enough by how much joint legislation he's passed. This guy's got 40 years, in government. Of course, this guy, has relationships with people, isn't as divisive as he seems. And I think that's evidenced by what he can pass. To say that the insurrection is the language of leftists, this is the language that came to us in the 14th Amendment after the Reformation, when, surprise, surprise, after the Civil War, people in Congress didn't want leadership again. That was part of the Civil War. That shouldn't be that shocking. There's nothing left-wing about that idea. That should be a very American idea. We don't want people that would try to insurrect the government to fight against it. Also, if we want to talk about health issues, we're welcome to talk about it as well. But I care way less about the leftists have some crazy views on 8-year-olds being trans, which I think is really stupid, by the way. And I agree that that's stupid. But I care way more about the fact that I don't know if we're ever going to have a new vaccine in this country that is going to have mass protests against it now, because conservatives become the party of anti-vax. I think that's a far more pressing public health matter than trans kids.
Yes. Because the CDC is in cahoots with Big Pharma and lied to the American people about masks, about distance, and about lockdowns, and ruined a whole generation's lives because of the lie that lockdowns were necessary for kids. Sweden didn't lock down one day for kids, not one kid died. That you defend the CDC, the NIH, and the Democrats, and I mean, for that matter, any Republicans who supported lockdowns, it will not be something you will be proud of when you look back at your career.
Yeah, and the entire world was all in cahoots for all the people. You point out Sweden. Compare Sweden's death rates to every other European country, even the other Scandinavian countries that did enact lockdowns, and more people died in Sweden.
I have compared them.
Okay, then you know that Sweden fared about the worst of any of those countries.
Only if you compare them to Scandinavia. And Finland has announced that it would do exactly what Sweden did if it ever happened again. They were wrong in locking down their students. If you're on the record as defending nearly 2 years of lockdowns of students, and
how did this come to just lockdown of students? The lockdowns affected more than just the students, right?
Lockdown of students.
Okay, because you said that like 3 times.
Egregious because kids were hurt more than adults were because of the lockdown. That's why I'm noting kids.
Sure.
And because it was particularly irrelevant because kids were not dying of COVID, whereas old people were.
Sure, but the issue was that teachers tend to be older people, and they were the ones that were worried.
Yes.
Whether or not the lockdowns were...
No teacher died in Sweden.
Whether or not the lockdowns were good or bad...
No teacher died in Sweden.
Yeah.
The lockdowns were despicable.
Whether or not...
That is the reason that people are very, very suspicious and should be. I was never. My brother is a professor of medicine. I trusted doctors like I trusted my own parents. I trusted the medical community. I don't any longer. They've lost my trust.
Yep, now you trust Joe Rogan and Donald Trump. Yeah. Now we trust podcasters who have every vested interest in lying to you about things in order to make more ad revenue and to sell you more.
Destiny. So you think Joe Rogan is a problem now? I mean, the guy who has really open, honest conversation with experts from all sides. I mean, this is just classic leftist projection, right? Anyone who challenges the narrative is automatically a conspiracy theorist. Look at him sweating, Dennis is schooling him on everything from lockdowns to vaccines, and all he can muster is Joe Rogan or Orange Man bad. That's a classic line. I mean, this is just what happens when you let Trump live rent-free in your head for too long, maybe 8 years now. I mean, Destiny is living in an alternate dimension, in my personal opinion. This is an opinion piece where, to him, Antifa didn't burn cities. Unbelievable. I mean, the delusion is so strong with this one. I think he's the one with the most TDS that I've seen so far in my reporting on all these meltdowns. And to me, it's rich. It gives me content. And you remember, it's like he also misses this my body, my choice thing when you're talking about the whole transgender issue. My body, my choice movement. That was the left. They were the ones pushing for decades. And suddenly, bodily autonomy is out the window when it comes to the jab, right? Yeah, to the vaccine. No more my body, my choice. Oh, the hypocrisy is off the chart. I mean, excuse my speaking slowly, but I'm just thinking as I'm speaking right now. But it's unbelievable. It's really unbelievable. And somehow he thinks these guys, they are the bastion of truth and honesty. The CDC and Fauci, we all know the trouble he's in right now. And he's begging for pardon, or people are advocating for pardon for him, Fauci. So we should just forget all about the flip-flops, the blatant lies, and destruction of small businesses, not only in America, all over the world. In Wakanda, most of our kids, they have been traumatized for years. When they put that thing in your nose, it was so traumatic. Some kids still today, they are still suffering from, trying to think that they'll put something in their nose to do the corona test. And it was all based on lies. Come on, Destiny, wake up. I think Big Pharma is to be held accountable to if they did anything wrong. Nobody is above the law, right? And remember that Big Pharma is not your friend. They'll throw you under the bus as soon as you don't serve their interests. So you should wake up.
products for whatever
Oh, I see.
vitamin
So,
boost or whatever.
okay.
If like
All right.
if you want to talk about lockdowns and them being good or bad, I think at this point, I think the evidence is out that the lockdowns were probably too aggressive. I think most people agree with that. The issue isn't debating whether or not they were good or bad. It's that you conservatives assume that they were done maliciously. The entire world came together to
It's
maliciously
irrelevant
lock.
if it was
It's not
malicious.
irrelevant.
Hey, you know what? I
The
don't give a
motivation
damn
for
if it was
why you
malicious. I don't give a damn if it was malicious. It ruined societies. It ruined children's lives. The New
You don't
York
think the
Times
intention of a
itself-
policy matters when it comes to trusting them in the future? You don't think knowing if they were acting maliciously or not isn't important in deciding if you would trust them?
No, it's not. No, and by the way, well, I will say this with regard to the vaccines and the fact that they were not tested and they were unleashed upon people, and that they told children, they still told little babies should get these vaccines when babies aren't dying of COVID. I think there was an element of maliciousness, not in the sense of we want to hurt people, but we want to have the profits that big pharma enables us to have, because big pharma, let me ask you, do you think big pharma has only the interest of the public in mind?
I'm a liberal capitalist. I think that big pharma has the interest of making money. The
That's
goal
correct.
is the
Okay,
FDA and the
fine.
government to
Right.
regulate, to make sure that they're adhering to what they're supposed
That's
to
right,
do.
but they
Now, if
didn't-
you want to
but they
take the
didn't
position, if you want to
regulate.
take the position that every corporation around the world that would have had plenty of investment in calling this out, by the way, why didn't J&J say that the mRNA vaccines were rigged? If you want to say that every academic institution across the entire world, especially in other countries, weren't calling out the horribleness of the mRNA vaccines, and if you want to make the argument that every country in the world, even those that didn't utilize our vaccines, like China, Russia, Iran, and Qatar, they would have every incentive to say, by the way, those mRNA vaccines are killing Americans. It's strange that all of these people seem to be silent on this issue, but thank God we've got Joe Rogan and Jordan Peterson to tell us about how corrupt, and Brett Weinstein to tell us how corrupt, I guess, big pharma is. I thought that conservatives used to be proud of large American businesses. This was
You're
an
right, I
operation
was.
under warp
You're
speed from
100%
Donald Trump,
right.
a Donald Trump warp speed, a globalist,
guilty.
capitalist thing that Americans should be proud of, but we can't even take pride in it because you're so conspiracy brained on it now.
The issue is not conspiracy brained, and sometimes there really are. Look, I will admit to you, I defended the big pharma nearly all of my broadcast career. I have been awakened to the corruption that is now involved. I'm sorry to say.
I think you've been awakened to something called audience capture. I think audience capture is what we awakened to.
I never took Robert Kennedy seriously on the issue of vaccines and kids, and now I do. I admit it. I have been chastened by the facts.
The guy
All right,
that says the
gentlemen,
polio
listen,
vaccine
I
has
know
killed
that
more
we
people
could
than it's
go-
saved.
He's crumbling under the weight of Prager's logic. Now, the cognitive dissonance is just too much. Sipping his coffee, Starbucks, yeah, I need some more energy. Sometimes he's sipping Red Bull on set. It tells you a lot about him, you know? And in my personal opinion, I think Destiny just can't handle the fact that his sacred institutions are corrupt, and the so-called experts that he worshipped were just pushing an agenda. It's clear that it was an agenda. But yeah, Destiny just keeps on giving, right? Yeah, to me, it was epic. The debate was very important. And it's painful. I don't like to just, look into this guy's logic and say, oh, well, he's really out of touch with reality. But this debate, he got absolutely destroyed. I mean, this is what happens when you really build your worldview on a foundation of leftist lies. It's a lot at this point. That's why the American people saw through it. Blacks, whites, Arabs, Jews, everybody saw through it this time. You know? And Prager is just exposing some of the hypocrisy, some of the ignorance that Destiny is really on right now. And I would say his complete lack of critical thinking. He can think really good, but I don't know if he's just refused to know the truth. But I'd like to know your own thoughts. Did Destiny get what he deserved in this debate? And was Dennis the MVP here? That, because my opinion, he destroyed him. So drop your truth bombs right in the comment section below. And don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe for more common sense opinions and content like this. And share this video with every liberal you know. Let's wake them up. That's what I want. Let's wake them up. Okay? Let's not keep it in-house. It's selfish. Anyway, thanks for tuning in to the Black Coffee Podcast, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.